So let's start with the truth. I mean, I know a lot of people have already been, watching movies because it's now become quite common that movies will be released simultaneously in particularly smaller art house cinemas and on home streaming services. So Curzon Home Cinema, you can see The Truth, which was going to have a theatrical release. This is the new movie by Hirokazu Kore-eda. It's his non-Japanese English-French language debut. He made Shoplifters, which won the Palme d'Or, and he has an extraordinary back catalogue. So the story is Catherine Deneuve is this kind of aging diva actress, Fabienne, and her daughter, historical daughter, is played by Juliette Binoche. And she has just published her memoirs, The Truth. And her daughter reads the memoirs and says, I can't find any truth in here at all. She is this incredibly overbearing character, and there is a tension between her and her daughter and indeed the rest of her extended family. But she also has a role in a new science fiction inflected film that is in fact based on a short story by Ken Liu, which apparently has also been adapted, as a short film. But so this is based on that short story. And the story is about mother and daughter estrangement, in which there is a character who has an illness which means that they cannot be on Earth. They have to be in space, and therefore in space they don't age. So what happens during the course of the movie is every certain number of years they come back and they visit everyone on Earth, specifically her mother and daughter, but everyone else has aged, but they haven't. And so it's a kind of interesting thing about, time shifting. There's a sort of, Benjamin Button thing going on there, but it's really about the way in which relationships play out over these changing time periods. And so at the same time that Juliette Binoche's character is wrestling with the untruths of the memoirs and also the kind of the slights and the hurts of her mother, she is also dealing with the fact that her mother is making a film that really seems to kind of talk about their relationship or the lack of their relationship. Now, I think the thing about this is, honestly, we're not on a par with Shoplifters, which was such a brilliant film. I'm sure that you can go back. I think you can download my review of it here on Wittertainment, which was really great in a number of ways because it had this really kind of complicated, interpersonal family structure, and also because it had a lot to say about society. It had that kind of socio-political edge, but it never felt like that's the story that it was telling. In the case of this, I think it's much more that it's an interesting story, well told. It's got some fantastic performances. I mean, Ethan Hawke, Ludwig Saunier, Manon Clavel, and of course Catherine Deneuve and Juliette Binoche. And it's kind of one of those things that you almost feel like you just want to go on the poster, Hirokazu Kore-eda, Juliette Binoche, Catherine, but what else do you want? I think what I liked about it was that there is a real beguiling naturalness to the performances that draws us into the world of these characters, even when the central character is insufferable in so many ways. I mean, there are some lovely moments in which you see Juliette Binoche's character reacting to the slights that Catherine Deneuve sort of dishes out, apparently unthinkingly, unfeelingly. But that question we always have about, do you have to like a character in order to be engaged with them? No, you don't. What you have to do is you have to feel sympathetic. You have to feel empathetic towards them. It's come back to Roger Ebert and cinema being a machine for creating empathy. So I think what you have is great performances that keep the tension between these two characters absolutely fizzing, even when the drama itself feels quite musy, quite meandering, quite sort of, almost incidental. So there's two things going on, which is that on the one hand, the narrative seems to be kind of, still and just gently flowing. And yet what's actually happening on an emotional level is much more sparky, much more aggressive, much more full of conflict. So I think ultimately in Hirokazu Kore-eda's catalogue, it's incidental, but I really enjoyed watching it. I really enjoyed it because I really, really enjoyed the performances.